So the first video we're making for you guys is going to be some stretches and some motions. This is our model, Jilly. So she's going to start out with our straddle. If you are on my squad, these are the stretch routine that we're going to go through at the beginning of every practice. It'll become habit. You'll be doing it, on your own. Captains will be leading pretty soon. So when you're sitting in a straddle, you want to keep your back straight. You don't want to arch your back forward. Arch your back forward first, Julie. Arch, yeah. Like, no. You don't want to do that. You want to keep your back straight. You want to hinge at your hips, okay? So sit back first. First lean to the left. Okay, so remember your back is straight and you're grabbing as far down on your leg as possible. If you can reach your foot, grab your foot. If you can't, grab as far down on your calf as possible. So we're going to hold that stretch for, I like to do about 30 seconds. And then we're going to switch to the other side. Same thing, try to put your nose to your knee. Keep your back straight, don't hunch your back over. And reach as far down as on your leg as you can. If you can reach your foot, grab your foot. Make sure your toes are pointed. Always keep your toes pointed when we're stretching. So hold that stretch for about 30 seconds and then reach to the middle. So it's really important to keep your back straight. You're trying to get your belly button to touch the floor and reach out as far as you possibly can and hold that for about 20 to 30 seconds as well. So thank you, Miss Jilly. You can go into your lunge. So our next stretch position.
Can I turn sideways so they can see you better?
Sure. Is yeah, that's a good idea. Is your lunge, okay? So you're gonna have your right or left knee, whichever is first, at a 90-degree angle, okay? See, 90 degrees right here. And your back leg is gonna be behind you with your shoelaces facing the ground, okay? So put your hands on your hips, Julie, and she's gonna push her hips forward as much as she can. So she'll be really feeling this stretch right here. So we're gonna hold that for about 20 or 30 seconds, and then Julie is going to lean forward and put both of her hands or elbows as far down as she can reach onto the ground to the inside of her foot. Notice that her back leg is still completely straight, her shoelaces are facing the ground, and she should be feeling this stretch in her inner thigh. We'll hold that for about 30 seconds. And then she'll come back up into the lunge, but lean backward, and try to put her nose to her knee. Again, your back should be completely straight, and you should be reaching as far forward as you can without compromising that arch in your back. And toes are pointed. You should feel this stretch right here in your hamstring. Do you want to go into split now or do the other sides first? Okay, so then she's going to go into her right split. And if you can't get all the way down in your splits, that's okay. You can still be an amazing cheerleader and amazing jumper without being able to do the splits. So what you want to make sure is that your left hand is on the outside of your leg and your right hand is on the other, outside of your leg. You don't want to put them both on the inside. You want one on the outside, one on the inside. Toes are pointed. The key, especially when you're still trying to work on your splits, is to keep this back foot upside down. A lot of you are going to try to go like this. You can see her foot. That's not going to help your splits at all. You want to turn your shoelaces down to the ground. Another thing that I see a lot is this. Okay, that's not going to help you either. Pull that, the heel of your foot in and point those toes. All right, you can stand up, Miss Julie. So then we'll go through the same routine for the other side.
Can we do this?
Yeah, we'll just show them real quick. Okay, so that's lunge, 90-degree angle. Straighten out that back leg. Good. And push your hips forward. Then come down to the ground. Good. And then lean back, nose to toes. And then you can go into that stretch. Remember, toes are pointed, shoelaces are facing the ground. Beautiful. Then for our middle split, so this is different than the straddle. So for your straddle, your bottom's actually sitting on the ground and your legs are facing out, or your toes are pointing to each wall to your left and right. For your middle split, I want your belly button to actually face the ground. So it doesn't matter how, okay, so I can't do this. I've never been able to do this. Okay, so can you come up a little bit, Julie, to show like what it'll look like when you're not quite there yet? Yeah, so this is what your middle split may look like. Remember, that is, keep your back flat, okay? Don't do the arch in your back, that's not gonna help. Keep your back flat, engage your core, that means squeeze your tummy, and try to get as low to the ground as you can. Find a good spot and then hold it there for like 30, 40, 55, 60 seconds, however long you're trying to. Depends on, like, in practice we won't do that long, but if you want to do these at home just to improve your flexibility, that'll help for sure. Okay, so the next few stretches we'll do are the butterfly. So there's two ways to do butterfly. Both of them kind of stretch different areas. So the first way is to bring your feet in as close to your body as you can, and try to push your knees to the ground with your elbows.
I have like weird knees.
Okay. And again, if your knees don't go all the way to the ground, that's okay. Just push them down as far as you can. And then you'll bring your feet out a little bit in front of you and try to put your nose to your toes. And again, make sure your back is straight, okay? Your belly button is trying to touch the floor, not the ceiling. Again, we'll hold each of those for about 30 seconds. And then we're gonna sit in what is called a pike. I wish we could call it a Chisholm or a Medlin, but it's a pike. So the pike is where both of your legs are straight out in front of you, your knees are locked out, your toes are pointed, and you're reaching as far down on your feet as you can. If you can't reach all the way to your toes, that's totally fine. Reach as far down as on your calves as you're able to. Hold it there, take some deep breaths, then try to reach a little bit farther forward, just like you would with any other stretch. And then the last thing that we'll stretch out is our arms. Okay, so just like you've probably done in athletics or in another sport before, you take your right arm across your chest, lock the elbow out, put your left arm in front of your, like, between your elbow and your wrist, and then you're gonna pull this arm towards yourself. Okay, hold that for about 30 seconds and then switch. Okay, and then lastly, you're gonna put your arm behind your head, and you're gonna put your hand should go right on the back of your neck, and then your other hand's on your elbow, and you're pushing downward, okay? Don't try to pull across too much, try to more so push downward, and you'll feel it like right here. Okay, swap. Good job. And then lastly, just stretch out your wrists and ankles as needed. I like to, do like this, hold that for a few seconds, sit and wiggle my ankles, especially if you're going to be tumbling. If you've had weak ankles in the past, really make sure your ankles are nice and mobile before you jump. Maybe that means run a few laps around the gym, whatever that looks like for you. So, all right, Miss Julie, you can hop up. We're gonna go through some motions. So if these are brand new to you, great. If not, that's awesome, get a little practice in. So the most common motions that we'll be doing is, firstly, probably most common, if not second most common, the high V. Okay, so when you're in a high V, if I can reach, there you go. So your thumb is tucked in, not underneath, but in, like this. And if I were to draw a smiley face on her index finger and her thumb, you would be able to see her smiley face right now. Her elbows are completely locked out. Turn to the side. Notice that her high V is not back here. Okay, that's one of the most common issues I see with middle school high Vs. You want to bring it a little bit in front of your face. Okay, turn back to the front. Also notice, another common issue that I see, especially when we're putting these motions into cheers, is what we call broken elbows.
Broken elbow?
Like how?
Oh.
Is right here, okay? This is not a high V, okay? This is not a high V. This is not a high V. This is a high V. If I come up to Julie and shake her arm, it should be hard for me to move. Okay, so like don't flex now. Okay, I should not be able to go like that. She should be squeezing so hard, especially in her shoulders, that that high V is nice and tight. We also have low V, and it's the same thing. If I were to turn her to the side, you would not see this. You would see her be just a little bit out in front of her, and elbows are locked out and tight, and same thing. She would have her little upside down smiley face facing the audience. So then we're going to do a T. A T is right in the middle of a high V and a low V. So if you were to turn to the side, again, her T is not going to be completely parallel, okay? It's going to be a little bit out in front of her. Her shoulders are engaged, okay? If I were to go up to her and grab her shoulders, it'd be tight, not loose. Same thing right here. Her elbows are locked out, and I can see the thumb side of her fist, okay? So a lot of times I see T's up here. I see T's right here. I see T's like this, okay? You want a nice, beautiful, level T that's out just a little bit in front of you. Okay. Sometimes in a cheer you'll see what we call a broken T. Okay, this is where the only difference between this and a regular T is that now I can see your pinky. It's the pinky side of your fist. It's going to be parallel. Okay, don't let your elbows drop. Keep your elbows up. Nice and pretty broken T. Then we have, let's do touchdown. Okay, so a high touchdown this is called a touchdown because this is the sign that the referees make in a football game when someone makes a touchdown. Okay, you're going to see the refs go like this. That's not how we do touchdown in cheerleading. Your arms are locked out and they're close to touching your face, okay? This is not a touchdown. This is not a touchdown. Right here, touching your temples is where your biceps should be. And then the pinky side of your fist should be facing the audience. Again, you're locked out, your shoulders are engaged. And then we also have low touchdown, which is not going to be completely out to the side. It's going to be in front of you a little bit. If you have something there to squeeze, then that's a good way to know that your low touchdown is in far enough because they'll be squeezed together. Elbows are locked out. I can see the thumb side of your fist. And then we have what we call tabletop. Yeah, it's just you bring your biceps are still close to your body, squeezing together, and you have a perfectly parallel forearm that is showing the small part of your fist. Okay, so another motion that's very similar to this is what we call, oh no, never mind. So candlesticks.
Oh man.
I know. Is directly out in front of you, same thing. So all these motions, your arms are tight. We're going to say a lot. We're going to say sharp motions. This is what we're talking about. You're squeezing your muscles. You're engaged. You're not shaky and wobbly if I come up to you. With candlesticks, you're pretending like you literally have two candlesticks in your hand, so the audience is able to see your knuckles in that one. Okay. So a right punch. Sure.
Is that my right?
Punch is just like a touchdown, except one arm is up and the other arm is on your hip, okay? So you're able to see the small part of her wrist, so the pinky side of her fist, and then right here, her bicep is touching her head, okay? Not this, right here, okay? Now, this hand is what I see messed up a lot. I see a lot of this, I see a lot of this, I see a lot of this, okay? You're in a fist just like you would be for a V or a T, and it's right on your waistline, and the palm of her hand, or the back of her palm, there we go, the back of her palm is facing the audience, okay? So we have a right punch, and we also have a left punch, okay? And then the next one, I am old, and I've always called it a splat, okay? So a splat is where one arm is in a high V and the other arm is on your hip, okay? So make sure that when you're doing a punch, Notice how her fist turns in the punch, okay? Little finger, yeah, pinky finger is facing the audience in a punch, and then you turn that out to where your thumb is facing the audience like a high V in the splat, okay? So your other side, splat. Beautiful. Last thing you need to know is clap and clasp, okay? Those are two very important distinctions that you're gonna have to know. So when we are doing jumps, when we're doing dances, we're gonna have clap and clasp, okay? So come a little closer so they can see you.
Good.
So the first
What are we doing?
clap,
Clap is like,
no, this is clap.
this is clap, clasp, and clap.
Yeah.
Okay.
So clap is where your palms are facing each other. Clasp is where you are clasped together. You should make a really loud popping sound when you clasp, okay? So it shouldn't just sound like this, it should sound like this. So when you are doing that clasp, that's actually how we're going to move into our jumps. So just take a step back because you're and we're gonna call it what's called the steeple approach. So go ahead and just show us that steeple, Julie.
This,
Yeah. Okay, so notice her arms are touching her face. Her elbows are locked out. She is as high as she possibly can. If you were to turn to the side a little bit, she's almost in front of her. She's not completely above her head, okay? She's right here. Her core is engaged. She's not arching like this. Beautiful. All right, there's your motions.